Well, we're adding a garden flag to our beach theme for the month, and this time I thought I'd go with the iconic flip-flops. What can be more beachy or summery than a pair of flip-flops? Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this garden flag is to make. Alright, in preparation for making our garden flag, I've cut my piece of Ultra Hold Heat and Bond to a 1-inch square, and I've cut a piece of 100% white cotton muslin to a piece that's 1 inch by 3 inches. And I've got a wooden board to protect my table and a piece of printer paper on top of that. I know it's going to be hard to see, but white on white, but I don't want to stain my fabric. So I'm going to take this, I've already pressed this flat, and I've got my little craft iron. This is just a little tulip craft iron. You could use your regular iron that you use for pressing clothes with. This just saves me getting out my ironing board and all of that stuff, and it protects my good iron from any things that might be on my crafting project. So I'm going to take this, follow the directions on the brand of fusible web you get. I'll talk more about the fusible web on the blog post, so be sure and hop over there and get a more thorough explanation of the steps here. We do this every month, so I want to kind of go over it quickly today so we don't spend all our time. Now I'm folding this in half. I put that 1-inch square right at the end, one end of my flag, my strip. The hardest part of this whole process is many times peeling that paper backing. This reveals this shiny part, which is fabric glue. It's a heat-activated glue that will hold our fabric strip together. At this point, don't worry about these little threads hanging off. Those will be sealed once this is finished. Just using my iron to kind of press it down. I'll do a more thorough job of ironing off camera, but I want to give you the idea. Now this needs to cool, and we can move over to the work tile and start our design process. Alright, since I want to have a sandy looking background, I use the same white and burnt umber paints that I used on the doormat last week and kind of mixed them together here and made a total mess on my tile in the process. And I'm going to paint both sides of this, and then I'm going to put it on this. I've got just a golf tee held in my little drying rack, and I am going to put this off to dry. Once this paint is dry, we can come back and add our flip-flops. Alright, to make the flip-flop easier to draw on our flag, I'm making myself a pattern to trace around. And I looked at lots of different ways that I could draw a flip-flop. And this occurred to me as probably being the very easiest. Now, I'm using my drill gauge that I use when I'm measuring balls of clay. And I'm using 2 holes in it. I'm using the 1/2 and I'm using the 3/8. You need something similar. You don't have to have one of these, but something similar that you could draw around a dowel, whatever. This is a 1-inch strip of white cardstock, and I've drawn a straight line. I'm going to, and I've got this on top of just a piece of craft paper so that I protect my table, but I thought you could see better what I was doing. Now I'm going to kind of slide this around, and I can just see that the top of my paper is here, and that line I think is right there. So I'm going to draw a circle. Then, and see this right there. Now I'm taking my 3/8 inch and I'm going to go to the bottom of that 1-inch strip of paper. And I'm basically doing the same thing. It's a little harder for me to line the 3/8 inch up because I really need my head over it where the camera's at. And trace around. I did pretty well. Alright, now we're going to just reinforce that line. And this side, we're going to make a curve. And then we are going to just cut around this outside edge. And is it perfect? No, it's not a perfect flip-flop. but it will translate. By the time you get it painted, it will look like a flip-flop, and people will recognize what you've drawn on your little garden flag. So there we go. So I'm going to set this aside, and when my paint is completely dry on my garden flag, we will trace this on one side and start painting our flip-flops. All right, now that our tan paint is dry, we're going to take our pattern, and I'm going to line up over here and down here. I'm going to tip it a little more. And where you place this and how you tip it, that's up to you. We're only going to do one side at this point, and then what I'm going to do is get this side all finished, all painted and trimmed, and then I'll draw and put on the flip-flops on the other side. Now, I'm going to lay this one right here. And we will probably do an outline on the flip-flops so that they don't blend into each other later. There. Get that string out of the way. Now I have some Paradise Blue paint. This is some of the paint that Plaid sent me on one of the small brushes. This is, what is this one? This is a number 2. I want to say it's shader. It says right there. It's a number 2 shader. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill in the lines on my flip-flops that I just drew. But you can make your flip-flops on yours any color you want. I think the brighter and the more fun colors, the better. I'm kind of halfway coordinating this with the rest of the items we're making this month for the kind of beach themed stuff I'm going to put around the dollhouse. So I am going to I'm going to finish this, then I'll wrap my brush up in a wet wipe. And if I need to, I'll put a second coat of this pale blue paint on before I come back. But as soon as when I have a nice, good, thick blue coat of paint, I'll come back, we'll trim this, and we'll do the other side. So I'll be right back. All right, my paint is dried, so I'm going to do a little trimming first to make sure I've got rid of all of these extra threads on the sides. Between the stitch witchery and the paint, the edges will now be completely sealed, so we won't have to worry about it fraying out anymore. Now I'm just following that edge. And then I'm going to go like that. And there, now it is now shaped to our flip-flop. So I'm going to line up this side. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if they're not completely lined up, it'll be okay. You're only going to see one side of it at a time. That, flip over. And now we just take our paint and we paint in this side. And it looks like my paint wasn't totally mixed, and that's okay. I kind of like the variation in the color. So I am going to follow these pencil lines, and I am going to get this side done. I'll need 2 coats again, just like I did with the first side. And when this paint is completely dry on both coats, I'll come back and we'll add some fun details. So I'll be right back. All right, our lighter color paint has dried overnight, so I've got out some bright blue from Apple Barrel that Plaid sent me. And I am going to I'm going to start with a pencil. That way I can get this right where I want it. I'm going to put one there and one there. That way I've got a better idea where I'm starting from. And since I know this paint has dried overnight, I know there's no chance I'm going to contaminate my paint. So I'm just painting out of the lid today. I only do that when I am positive I'm not going to contaminate my paint. Now for this part, you want to go really lightly and just make kind of a curved line. Kind of a curved line. And you could add some dots or some flowers or some lines to the soles of your flip-flops if you wanted to. But there, we have a pair of flip-flops. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the back side when this is dry. And then we'll go look at this in front of the dollhouse. So I'll be back in just a second. Well, there is our little flip-flop garden flag in place on the front porch of the dollhouse. I love how that turned out. Super simple. I'd love to see you guys make one and dress it up a bit. You could add some words up there above the flip-flops. I think fun in the sun would be really cute on there. You could add some like little dots or flowers or something to the flip-flops themselves, because a lot of them are decorated. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What themes would you like to see? I'm getting some good ideas from you guys. Keep it up. If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, be sure and hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.